Most of what you think is your personality isn't something you chose. It was shaped long before you were aware of it. The way you react to stress, the way you handle relationships, even the way you talk to yourself, a large part of it traces back to your childhood. Not in obvious ways, but in quiet patterns that repeat without you noticing. Your brain starts learning how the world works very early. It watches, absorbs, and builds rules. If you grew up in an environment where you felt safe, your brain learns that people can be trusted. If you grew up around unpredictability, criticism, or emotional distance, your brain adapts differently. It becomes alert, cautious, sometimes overly protective. This is not weakness, it is adaptation. As a child, you don't have control over your environment, so your brain does something remarkable. It adjusts your behavior to survive that environment. If expressing emotions led to rejection, you may have learned to stay quiet. If approval came from achievement, you may have learned to tie your worth to success. These patterns are not random, they are learned responses. The problem is, your brain does not update these rules automatically. What helped you as a child can silently limit you as an adult. You might avoid conflict, even when speaking up is necessary. You might overthink simple decisions because you were once judged for mistakes. You might seek constant validation because approval once felt uncertain. These are not conscious choices, they are deeply embedded patterns. There's a concept in psychology often referred to as the inner child. It is not a separate personality. It is a collection of emotional memories and learned responses that continue to influence how you react today. When something triggers a strong reaction that feels disproportionate, it is often this older pattern being activated. You are not just reacting to the present moment, you are reacting to something familiar from the past. This is why certain situations feel heavier than they should. A small criticism can feel like a personal attack. A delay in response can feel like rejection. These reactions are not about logic, they are about stored emotional experiences. Your brain is trying to protect you, using outdated information. And because these patterns operate below awareness, they feel like this is just how I am. But they are not fixed, they are learned, and anything learned can be re-examined. The first shift happens with awareness. When you start noticing your reactions instead of immediately acting on them, you create space. You begin to ask a different question, not what is wrong with me, but where did this come from? That question changes everything, because once you see the pattern, you are no longer fully controlled by it. You begin to separate your present self from your past conditioning. You start responding instead of reacting. This does not mean blaming your childhood. It means understanding it. There's a difference. Blame keeps you stuck. Understanding gives you control. Your past explains your patterns. It does not have to define your future. Real change is not about becoming someone new. It is about recognizing what was carried forward unconsciously and deciding what still serves you. And when you start doing that, something shifts. You stop repeating patterns automatically. You start choosing your behavior intentionally. That is where growth begins.